Hey, muy buenas noches, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. And as always, muchísimas gracias to everyone for your guys' words, prayers, and your amazing support. You guys, as always, really humble me, and I'm appreciated to every one of you. Gracias. Now, to get into the story on hand, today is going to be a little different. I wanted to touch on this current discussion that numerous of YouTube channels been touching on. And I do understand it's social media and people have the need to find something to put the point across and mislead or just to get views, right, for their channel. But it's why, as you guys know, I extend to stay away from speaking about things that I personally, did not have first-hand knowledge or was there actually in what I was doing, right? Cause it just makes you look like a fool, right? At the end of the day, if you have an objective to trying to throw out an indirect or somebody, just man up and say it, right? There's no need to actually paint certain individuals like Santa Maria de Cancuta and stuff, right? And when it really not. And second of all, I'm not speaking about nobody. It's in general for those that touched on it, right? Cause, my anger, as you guys know, recently this last weekend, they attacked the ranch, right? And, I'm just not gonna sugarcoat it like I've been, and, they did it cowardly, right? They want my family that's been part of the movement here in Sinaloa and again, my grandpa, my dad died behind it, right? But, my family's always been one of those sides that they dedicate themselves to work. If you guys get what I'm trying to say. Of course, they got the little thing going and, they will push back, but it has to be something that is not avoidable, like double Guerra, for example, right? And other things that there's no need to get into. And as you guys know, I was well a part of that in my angle of things in supporting, right? But it was done cowardly, right? In the middle of the night, they went in, hit, took out a couple people that took care of the ranch and, in their belief, I didn't even stay behind cause like I stated before, I live in one end of the rancho, cause I like, honestly, my privacy. I prefer to be more solo, right? Even though in reality I shouldn't, and I'm a hardhead cause, at any moment, I might need the support of somebody, but regardless, I was here with a couple nieces and, it just went off, Friday, Saturday. And, a lot of people they ain't here no more. I'll just leave it like that, right? Which the cowardly part of my end is when everybody came back and, they started towards the angle that they needed to take care of to find out things. It's just a little cowardly bolita being thrown around, right? And, it was this fool's people. It was this fool's people. Why? Cause they're basically did it with the expectation that they get my family to join their little BS movement or guerra that they have going on right now, right? And, they're really in reality making what it has been with their fathers, a joke, right? For example, what their fathers really lost a lot of people and everything, they're joining forces. Again, the Chapitos joined with the Beltranes again. And after everything that happened, But anyways, that's where the angle that recently happened, happened, right? Without mentioning Marcas, but it was due to the Menores, right? So now to get into what I wanted to discuss, I disculpen, I rammed off. It's just, always been a hothead and I try to keep myself in line. But sometimes you just need that little outlet, right? But anyways, recently they kidnapped and killed Jasper, as people portrayed him, a YouTuber, when in reality, Homeboy used YouTube for his benefit, He was never a YouTuber. He came out and did little videos here and there, but other than that, he's my personal knowledge, my family, everybody here in Culiacan. No, he does his thing for the Menores. He's been supporting them and moving weight for them for a long time, as doing a lot of shady stuff, with these individuals. Now, just to put a little backstory to it, you know what it is, Ivan, Alfredo, and all them, as Marquitos Toys, Jasper, Nini, they're all part of the same crowd, without having to go into details on what they do or what they're about, right? And, there was a big statement, It's easy to just put out what's out there in the news without knowing the facts, right? But, there was a statement when he got picked out from his house, got taken, tortured, and got hit over 70 times, right? And got thrown out on the Oscars of Culiacan going towards Dorado, because for those that are here know that area has been taken over by MSeta, right? So recently they've been throwing out policemen, other known factors in the Menores movement, and it's for the same reason. Allow me to expand a little bit on what this individual was about, right? The Menores is real public what they're doing. So there's no need to even touch on that, right? But these individuals, they use what the internet is providing when it comes to money wise to try to cover the eye, right? Of what they're really doing. But for a reason, they've been, for example, Marquitos Toy, how his brother got kidnapped, and when they took him out, and all this is going on with Jasper as well. When it came to one of his brothers, a girlfriend, it's because they're in the movement, fully cold-hearted, loyal to the juniors. A little while back, it was something big here in Culiacan, because this individual, El Nini, and some other cat, right, from here, that he's not out in the open like that, so I'll refer for touching on him. But they did some trash stuff, which they went into a ranch. They were worried about us supported for different faction, same movement, different faction. They eventually took 4 kids, 3 ladies, 2 old ladies. They wrapped them up and buried them alive. It is why these cats were hiding for a long time from not just the government here, but from other factions, familias that were angry, right? And it is, again, the statement came real clear for those that are in the known who it was, because of where they were thrown, the way they threw them. You have to be here to know these things. But again, I understand they want to throw a vendetta on somebody, so they tend to utilize everything to do so, right? Without actually bucking up and doing it. But there's a lot like these individuals, I know a lot of people, they tend to touch on the surface, what's out there. But, I want to start, as I mentioned to you guys, doing profiles on people that if you're not here, you wouldn't be aware of. But of course, just do understand that I have to, run it through somebody here, at least in my family, because they will be the first one to, believe me, that will take care of, if I came out of Del Calzone. And, but I will do so, I think it's something that has been undermined. There's a lot of lies out there that people just speak to speak. And I already got that okay. I just want to make sure who to do it on, right? It is why I brought it up to you guys on the last live, but I will also bring it up again. Again, I disculpen, I'm even putting this out in this fashion. Yes, a so-called YouTuber got taken out. Marquitos Toys, he's wanted for a family he disappeared. Again, it includes kids. And for those that know who he is, look him up. Look him up. Just look him up. And you'll see when they busted El Nini, how he acted, what he has said publicly. It's easy to come on here and pretend you know things, that you being smart about it, when in reality, man, I'm just not gonna get out of character. You guys know me, I tend to steer away from all that he said, she said, back and forth stuff, and my respects to everybody, but this does anger me because it literally hit home. I'm not across in a different country. I could literally walk across the rancho and I'm literally in the line of fire when I'm constantly seeing things. But there's nothing important. It's always good to speak your mind and dwell on it, right? On a different note, tomorrow I have an appointment and paperwork, right, to hopefully get started on this chemotherapy for my chest, and I believe it's going to be chemo and radiation together to a certain extent, so I still working that out. Mexico, so they want papitos on the financial side, which I wanted to thank every single one of you, because I was really going through it last chemo, but with what's coming in with YouTube, I believe it'll be easier this time, in the hopes that I could see this time through. But God is amazing. It's funny how things have a way of always lining up right. YouTube started coming through. Someone told me, hey, start checking on this so you start getting something, and bam, the next chemo hit, which in reality I wasn't ever able to do because I can't even work right now, but it all lines up, so my faith is unbreakable, and I wish I could touch further on this individual, but I'm here, and do know that these individuals weren't YouTubers, and they were doing a lot of shady things, so all that, be aware of what's, well, anyways, I don't want to talk about this no more. I just wanted to share with you guys, just so that you guys are aware on how things really are out here in Culiacan. I can't speak to you about what currently is happening in Jalisco, Colima, and them state, but I'm right here, right? As you guys know, I only talk about what I was actually in or are. My love to everybody. Please stay true to yourself and loyal to your loved one.